Hello, everyone. I know you just saw us in the main room, but thank you for coming to explore the Applied Biology program. Just to begin, we'll just briefly reintroduce ourselves.
Hi, everyone. Hi again. Thank you for joining our room. My name is Yolanda. I am an international student from Zimbabwe, and I am in my last final year of the applied biology program, majoring in animal biology specifically. So as we discuss more about of the program, we'll be able to share more about my experience within the program to help connect you with APBI and LFS.
Right. Moving on to my introduction. My name is Oceana, or Ocean for short. I'm in my third year of the Applied Biology program, majoring in Honors Applied Animal Biology. After this year, I only have 1 year left, and I'm really excited to introduce these programs to you guys. And so on today's menu, we're going to be going over 4 different things. First, we'll start off with an applied biology program overview. Then we'll go into the different majors into a little bit of a deep dive. Then secondly, we'll have a fun case study about human-wildlife coexistence. We'll have some post-undergraduate career exploration, along with a little bit of a wrap-up to show some of the professors and faculty members that you could interact with in these programs. So moving on. Let's begin with the applied biology overview. So within the applied biology program, there is tons of real-world application of the life sciences to the management of soil, plants, animals, and food production. So depending on which major you go into, these will be focused into different parts of these different subjects. And so there's tons of different application in each program to hands-on learning. And as well with it, you'll be addressing real world problems through experiential learning opportunities, such as in the LFS core series, where you get to do real group projects that will actually be done in the real world, such as, for example, you can create it's like a curriculum overview, a curriculum program for elementary students, where you get to actually go into the schools and teach them about a subject that you're interested in. You also get to integrate technical knowledge with sustainability and ethics, depending on, again, which program you go into, and then critical thinking, practical involvement, and systems approach. And so there is tons of different angles that you'll be looking at with these subjects, and you'll actually get to learn about all the different opinions that many different stakeholders have when looking at plants and animals, sustainability, food, and things like that. And so with that, you'll be equipped to help students engage in difficult conversations because you'll be learning about all these different perspectives. And then again, you'll be able to adapt, communicate, and learn different cultural competencies, such as Indigenous traditional knowledge. And you'll get to work with different community partners, including ones on and off campus. And so moving on to the 2 main programs. So here in applied biology, there is 2 majors that you can select. You can either go into applied animal biology or the sustainable agricultural and environment major. Both of these majors are non-competitive, just to let you know. So when you come in, you will not have to choose. You will not have to compete to get into whatever one you are wanting to once you're in your 2nd year. And so to start off with the applied animal biology program, this major can lead you to graduate studies, veterinary school, professional careers in animal biology and welfare. You can also tailor your couple of years here at UBC to eventually go to medical school if that is something you're interested within applied animal biology. You can focus it on animal physiology and behavior. There's classes to do dissections if you're really interested on how animals work on the inside, or you can even look at animal behavior, such as how dogs interact with the world and things like that. Again, you can also learn about the ethics around animals and their role in human society. A fun class I'm taking right now is literally called Animals in Society, and it is absolutely amazing because we actually have speakers coming in from all over BC to tell us about their perspective, such as lawyers from the BC SPCA, one of the A&W representatives for the animal welfare for the meat they actually use in the restaurants. And so you get to see all these different perspectives, and then you can gain practical in the field experience and build your own research skills through the honors program, doing different practicums, volunteer work. It's really cool. And so in the background here, we have the UBC dairy farm where you can actually do a practicum and go there for a few months. And so talk about that a little bit more. The UBC Dairy Research and Education Center is an internationally recognized as a world-class facility supporting the development and adaptation of new technologies for the dairy industry in BC and beyond. And so this dairy farm isn't just about cows. Actually, within their fields, they have so many different technologies to test like the environmental output of the dairy cattle farm, such as the CaO2, to do some stuff with like the ecological weather part of it. Then they have focus on the calves and the cows. And so during your practicum, you can go there and do field work and really get your hands on into the dairy cattle industry. And so some career opportunities within applied animal biology includes going to veterinary school, you can do wildlife rehabilitation, become a medical doctor or nurse, become a registered professional biologist. So this is like a professional program, like a veterinarian or a doctor. This is how you become a registered biologist. You can do sustainable aquaculture, which is the farming of fish and other marine animals. You become a biomedical researcher, like in the background here, we have somebody working in a lab, potentially with animals. You can become an animal ecologist and a conservationalist if you're very passionate about preserving the species we have currently on Earth. And so the second major we have is the Sustainable Agriculture and Environment major, which is also known as the SAGE program, which I really love as that's an indigenous herb. This major leads you to a professional career in shaping a more sustainable, food secure future. So this program's for you if you really care about how food is being grown and processed eventually. And so you get to learn how to protect our soils, water, land, and air, and the best methods to grow food on the farm or in urban environments, such as connecting with sustainability and using the land in the most sustainable and best way to run the farm while also preserving the species there. And then again, you can develop adaptive research skills that can be used in changing the environment for the better. And so here we have the UBC farm, which is actually located here on campus at the UBC campus. And it is a great place for teaching and actually has a research center, an integrated organic farm and forest ecosystem. So the entire farm, everything they grow there is organic, so without pesticides and things like that. And then if you look in the background, there's a huge forest that surrounds the farm. This forest is actually part of the farm, and it's one of their ways they're trying to integrate the ecosystem with the actual farm to create a more sustainable and well-balanced area. And you get to immerse yourself in this living laboratory while at the farm as you're learning while you're doing different things to help create solutions to local and global challenges facing food systems sustainability. So you can again do a practicum here where you can earn credits while working at the farm and learning about the different processes it takes to create and grow different foods. I think one of the fun projects some of the practicum students sometimes do is that they're given their own crop that they have to manage over the time that they're doing it, which is a really cool experience, especially if you're considering becoming a farmer of some sort or doing stuff that's more related to plants and growing, as you get to get that hands-on experience to see if that's really for you. And so some of the career opportunities that come with the SAGE program is becoming a conservationist. So this would be more plant focused, a professional agrologist, which is more related to the farm. You can become a land management specialist. This is like somebody that would come to the farm or go somewhere where a farm wants to be built and explain how to best use the land for the best output of the farm and sustainable practices. You can again become a registered professional biologist, a farm or greenhouse manager, a professional geoscientist. So that more connects to what I was talking about with the environmental science, and then a farming specialist or working to do crop protection, such as against different viruses and diseases that could be taking out our different keystone species.
Thanks, Ocean. Moving on now to our next part of today's session, we're going to have a case study looking at the human impact on wildlife. But before I continue, if you have any questions so far, you can go to slido.com and enter hashtag APBI for you to be able to post questions anonymously, or you can also post them in the chat if you're comfortable, but in slido.com, you'll be able to ask questions anonymously, and we'll be keeping track of that, and we'll answer all questions at the end of the session. So to help you get a better understanding of what you may learn in APBI and what we mean when we say applied biology, I'm going to share some of a key topic that I'm really passionate about, and show you how it interconnects different aspects such as conservation, animal welfare, ecosystem services, plants, soil welfare. So it's an overarching theme which concerns both sustainable agriculture as well as applied animal biology. So both majors, we're going to explore that more with this case study. So as you may know, many species are at risk of extinction now. If you follow the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, you can see a comprehensive list of different species globally which are at risk of with extinction risks, or that are threatened, endangered, or critically endangered worldwide. And we're going to explore how different human activities impact the individual well-being and population persistence of animals. And this is a very important topic, as we need to mitigate these harms to maintain biodiversity and the integrity of ecosystems, as well as the welfare and well-being of each individual animal in the world, as we live and share the same space. So there are different kinds of harms that we cause. They can be unintentional or intentional, or direct or indirect. So we're going to explore more on what we mean when we say that. So direct intentional harm is deliberately causing distress, injury, or killing animals. This is usually seen in human-wildlife conflict cases. For example, a couple of months ago, we had aggressive cases of aggressive coyotes, and which resulted in the culling of coyotes in BC Stanley Park. And around the world, we also have cases of animals, for example, elephants destroying farmland, which causes conflict, which result in culling of the animals in the hopes to protect humans or to preserve farmland or cropland. So there are obviously multiple underlying factors that we can ask why is there aggression, or why are these cases happening. But however, the result of this is clear, that there is direct harm caused on adverse effects caused on the animals through lethal control. So this is just a specific example. There is also harm which could cause them, like fur trafficking, hunting, captivity, which is overall direct and intentional. And then direct unintentional harm is when it can be defined as when people cause direct harm, but they do not intend to do the harm. It's not the intention. So this can be in the form of crop production. We clear land that used to be habitats, or we use nighttime lighting, which can affect migration of sundays or migration patterns. And there are also like many other human activities that cause impacts on animals, like tourism, vehicle collisions, wildfires, having cat predation. So these also cause adverse effects on animals. Specific example, for example, using herbicides, which are agrochemicals widely used for weed control to increase crop yield and quality. So non-target animals like earthworms, rats, spiders are exposed to toxins causing adverse effects such as immunosuppression, DNA damage, and even death. So you can see how different topics are interconnected. We have a farm, and also like the animals surrounding within the farm or surrounding the farmland. So there is interconnection in these different subjects. Indirect harm can be by disturbing ecological systems and the process of nature, for example, by introducing foreign species and causing pollution and climate change. For example, the clearing of forests for palm oil plantation has threatened the survival of orangutan populations in the wild Borneo and Sumatra islands. And orangutans can only thrive in deeply forested areas. So therefore, this clearing has affected their well-being as well as their population persistence. So it is important for us to be aware of what impacts animals, whether it be the different practices that we do or different activities that we engage in, how they impact animals, so that we can find ways to mitigate those harms. Another key example is the bird and window collision. So 16 to 42 million birds in Canada and 365 to 988 million birds in the United States are killed by striking windows annually. So looking at a window, you might think, this is just a structure, and how sometimes we might not be aware how much of an impact it can have on animals around us. As we can see by these striking numbers, there is like a deep concern in whether it be conservation of birds or their physical well-being, as they can, by directly hitting on windows, they can get injuries, which causes pain and suffering, which is a big concern in animal welfare. So 50%, about 50%, studies show about 15% of window collision deaths occur at windows in homes. So some of you, maybe you were sitting at home, you might have experienced that, which is very concerning and can be not a really great experience to have directly, but it does happen. And reasons why this happens is because windows are transparent and they reflect vegetation. So sometimes this obstructs visions of birds as they fly, and it creates an illusion by reflecting off of a window. So they might think that they're still flying within vegetation and then directly hit a window. So they also see windows as continuous pathways due to transparency and reflective surfaces. And they also have the bird's visual system rely on lateral vision, which is sideways vision, and their frontal field cannot directly detect oncoming structures. So it's opposite from us humans. When we look at our frontal field, we can accurately detect oncoming structures, as opposed to birds who can't really detect that. Also, artificial light at night, birds reduce their flight altitude, especially migrating birds, and lights from buildings can disorient them by reducing their navigation abilities to detect landmarks, and that way they might collide with windows. So there are several different factors that surround this that needs to be studied, that have been studied, that are continuously being studied or researched. And you might ask, so what then? So there are different mitigations that are being used now, or that are being studied or being applied. So there are window decals, the different decorations that you can put on your windows, so that they are not as transparent, or and placing bird feeders away from windows, or designing eco-friendly buildings that take this into consideration. And there's also a website, Flap Canada, which also uses citizen science to help in keeping a record of where bird collisions are happening, as well as inform people of ways that you can improve your building structures. And also things such as lowering blinds, especially when the sun is in relatively to the sun, and that can also help in mitigating that. So application of what we know about birds, like what is causing the collision, for example, the reflection or the biological characteristics can help us to find ways to mitigate the harms. And this is very important as members of ecosystems. Birds play many roles, including as predators. They consume agricultural pests, or they are great pollinators, scavengers. They help in seed dispersion, and also they're also ecosystem engineers. So they have great ecosystem services and the biodiversity functions that are very important. So their conservation is of great concern. So as you can see, there are multiple disciplines that are involved in this, from animal welfare to agriculture to architectural designs. So these work together in ensuring the well-being of these species and mitigating all these adverse effects. So within applied biology, you might applied biology allows you to explore these topics in some of these topics in more detail and apply to issues that are being faced within the community, and us recognizing the importance of birds, whether it be at farms or being concerned about their welfare, being concerned about their health, physical well-being. So all these are important factors that need to be researched, need to be studied. So if you want to continue into research, you can find a topic that you want to research more on a specific species, or if you want to do more into actually applying the science to help mitigate or help change something within society, apply the APBI program can help you do that, and it gives you a lens that is you can have in helps you to interconnect different topics or different disciplines as you study. So we have great professors within the APBI program, wonderful professors. I always say that if you don't ever hesitate to reach out to them and have a chat with them, if you do come to UBC, they always have interesting stories or interesting advice to give about research. They always love to talk about the research that they do or the work that they do. Some of the professors that I would like to highlight today is Dr. Kristen Walker, who's an assistant professor of teaching. She teaches a wide variety of courses like compassionate conservation, which interconnects animal welfare and conservation science. So really looking at practical application of ways we can conserve species or species population, considering each individual well-being, as well as causes such as stress and coping in animals, which is very important, whether it be your pet, your companion animal, or whether it be farm animals, or all different animals. Stress and coping in animals is important to learn about, as it affects health and well-being. So really key, interesting courses that you can definitely explore. There are also hands-on classes that you can take with Dr. Walker. The topic that I just discussed on bird collisions, he also has a class where she studies these more practical aspects about human-wildlife coexistence and different projects that you can learn hands-on with ways to study that and apply ways to different techniques to change those. We also have Dr. Sandra Brown within the sustainable agriculture and environment major. She teaches courses in sustainable soil management, introduction to soil science, soil sampling and analysis, and data interpretation. So if you really love soil, Dr. Sandra Brown is amazing. You can also check out her YouTube video. If you search Dr. Sandra Brown soil science, it will pop up. It's a YouTube video where she talks about soil. Soil is not dead. So key, if you can get to do hands-on work, testing soil, learning all about like soil qualities, which is very important in agriculture and everywhere. So tying it all back in at the applied biology program within LFS is really great as it interconnected discipline. There is also like systems learning. You really learn key aspects that are very important within society. If you, whatever you're passionate about, it really helps like you connect and tailor that towards your interests, whether as Ocean shared earlier, whatever you want to do afterwards. We have an applied biology specific advisor to our program. So if you would like help, if you want to do veterinary science, if you want to do research, if you want to be an agrologist, so all these, they can really help you tailor your degree towards what you're interested in, and you be within a community that is supportive, as Maddie highlighted at the beginning of the session, of how LFS is really a close-knit community where you get to know your peers and professors at a more personal level. You can get opportunities to get involved in, as I'm working now as a workland role, as well as Oceania, who's also working within the LFS student services. You can volunteer, and they can really help you enjoy your degree program. And also the key aspect about the hands-on experience, Ocean mentioned practicums earlier on, where you get to really have that hands-on experience and get credits for that, like where you'll be working, whether it's the BCSBCA or the UBC farm, and you get to have that hands-on experience of working at the same time. At the end, you can, I think there is an essay that you type or something tangible that you produce from that work experience, but it really gives you that integration of the course curriculum, what you'll be learning, and applicable skills that you can apply to real world cases that are important. And you can, I think one thing that drives my interest within APBI is really seeing the impact of what I'm learning into that translation into real world application. So you don't really have to go that extra mile to switch and apply for these opportunities. They are integrated within your courses. So there's really rich experiential learning opportunities, whether it be within sustainable agriculture and environment or within applied animal biology. So for a quick highlight of admission notes, do your research, explore more, www.landfood.ubc.ca or ubc.ca if you want to know more about the program. Thank you for joining us in the session. This is actively great research for you to land on to what your next degree program. And if you choose your degree program, no admission requirements, and that will help you into getting admitted into UBC. These are BC specific high school requirements, so no requirements that relate to you're an international student, let's say, if you go to u.ubc.ca, there are more details on where you can check what requirements that you need, as well as post-secondary transfer. In terms of there are also questions about if you have transfer credits, they also like help with that if you go on u.bc.ubc.ca. Quick reminder, the first deadline is December 1st for early admission and also scholarship consideration. And then general application deadline is January 15th. So keep that in mind.